Trust us, bro, says politicians who keep showing us we can't trust them. AI risks totally worth it to accidentally make the left look kick-ass, say National. Middle income earning Conservatives tell Green Party to stop being mean to the mega wealthy. And does this mean an end to the laundering of dirty data at our state broadcaster? All that and more coming up now on This Week's The News. Hello there, kia ora, and welcome to This Week's The News. I'm Paul, and I'm really sorry, podcast listeners, no matter how I try, the visual gags just don't translate that well. Conservation Minister Tama Potaka, seen here trying to mentally tell Shane Jones to stop saying the quiet part out loud like Professor X communicating with the X-Men, has announced the removal of a controversial part of the new conservation legislation, which would have given the government the ability to sell up to 60% or 5 million hectares of the country's conservation land, despite a week of "we would never do that" social media videos and posts to justify retaining the clause, instead of just removing it right away. The announcement, made at a conservation event on Thursday night, was somewhat undercut by Everything's Mine Minister Shane Jones, seen here waiting to ask where the bathroom is, saying, "Of course we want to sell it. There's valuable minerals here that we can be bribed with under all those trees, and when you've seen one mountain, you've seen them all." The bill, however, still contains controversial elements, moving DOC towards a more commercial focus in its role. Submissions on the bill are to be extended by 2 weeks and can be accessed through the Parliament website. Do you remember when Claire Curran, having a coffee with Radio New Zealand's Carol Hirschfield, lost her job as Broadcasting Minister? Neither does Erica Stanford, apparently, after it was revealed Stanford, seen here seeing if you always need to blow on subpar Australian pies, had met up with Australian-based company Learning First founder Ben Jensen, apparently before a multi-million-dollar contract was granted to his organisation that was given special exemption to skip standard procurement channels and therefore stop other local organisations from tendering, according to documents recently released from Stanford's office. Those same documents show the meeting, characterised by Stanford as a pull aside at an event, was actually planned sometime in advance via email. Said a spokesperson for the Ministry of Education, "It's always a good feeling to know that we can be told we're going to be replaced by AI, and that the AI replacing us and doing the teacher assessments for us is also Australian. That the National Party then tried to vilify the opposition over questioning the use of that AI by lying about what they said and still somehow can't see why having a coffee with companies they sought exemptions for before acquisition processes are completed doesn't look dodgy. So I'm sure the curriculum refresh is nothing to worry about." New research out this week shows 90% of poor children are falling behind in maths and writing by year 3, showing National's promised mandate of an hour of reading, writing and maths hasn't changed outcomes like experts told them it wouldn't, but its refusal to work on child poverty has, like experts told them they should. On a recent Q&A appearance, Finance Minister Nicola Willis, seen here realising under current polling she would lose her position in Parliament as a list-only MP, told Jack Tane that they could easily fix child poverty by putting more money into the issue, but won't, because tobacco company tax kickbacks were more important than children living in poverty. "Some of you will die, but that's a sacrifice we need to make as a coalition," was a message from Winston Peters, seen here doing his best Lord Farquhar impersonation, as he delivered a speech to protesters who had serious concerns over Brooke Van Velden's new workplace safety legislation, which would, according to experts, lead to more workplace deaths as safety requirements were stripped from 96% of all businesses around the motu. The new law, Van Velden's last as an MP before her retirement, would also shield executives from accountability by narrowing definitions to protect executives who have multiple roles and creating loopholes around double handling. At the rally, Peters said that he wouldn't vote against the bill while acknowledging it will lead to more workplace deaths because the coalition is too important. But he promises he will repeal it, just like the Regulatory Standards Bill he also voted for if re-elected. ACT MPs are this week showing their disappointment in a move from the Green Party co-leader Chloe Swarbrick, seen here scaring creepy Conservatives who keep standing for some billionaires for some reason just by existing, who requested the European Union look at the country's dismal approach to carbon emissions in relation to the conditions of the EU free trade deal, which has environmental benchmarks as part of its conditions. ACT Party leader David Seymour, seen here with his former party president, the convicted pedophile Tim Jargo, who ACT successfully managed to gain name suppression for over a year because his connection to the party would have damaged their chances of election in 2023, according to the cases put forward in court, said, "There's an unwritten rule that we show a united front abroad. Imagine a government official who actively opposes the wider interests and safety of a community like that." without a touch of irony. Shane Jones, seen here realising it's too late for that bathroom break now and wondering why he keeps hearing Tama's voice in his head, has come under fire for a massive budget overspend and apparently misleading cabinet over a trip to a mining trade show in Canada where he attempted to sell Mount Cook. According to cabinet documents, Jones has overspent his allocated budget by $30,000, or 2 clinical defibrillators worth, but later documents revealed he had already overspent the allocated budget on flights before even approaching Cabinet for funding. Said Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, seen here reminding himself which country he's meant to be leading, "We only get really upset at overspend that helps the poor and needy, so this is nothing to worry about." Self-appointed religious leader Brian Tamaki this week made threatening comments at a number of minority groups claiming they need to be purged from the country, which has drawn sharp rebuke from politicians. Chris Hipkins, seen here watching the coalition squabble with each other every time a new poll comes out and they have to work out who to blame for their slide, said, "I think Brian Tamaki's a thug and I don't intend to give him more oxygen than that." While the other Chris, seen here wondering why Amanda said he should buy more chapstick, said, "I just don't listen to Brian Tamaki, for God's sake. It's not like his violent rhetoric has ever caused any little kids, like, the ones at Te Atatu Library, harm, and of course we have no regrets pushing to get rid of Labour's hate speech laws, according to the script I've just been given by the Free Speech Union." The National Party announced new KiwiSaver policies as it launched its election campaign last week at an event described by Hut locals as, "Oh, is that why Grindr is crashing? Can't handle all the anonymous accounts all of a sudden." Policies included paying KiwiSaver for those on maternity leave and compulsory KiwiSaver membership for everyone, including a $1,500 kickstart. Said Robert Muldoon, seen here as a lost soul trapped in limbo forever, "We didn't run all those dancing Cossack commercials vilifying Labour's universal super scheme in the 70s just for my clone to go ahead and make this policy after I died." The Green Party announced its election year tax policy this week, which they've dubbed the tax system for all of us, which would see a new higher tax bracket for the top 5% of earners, a tax reduction for 96% of the country, new taxes for the mega wealthy with over 10 million in profitable assets, and an inheritance tax for high-value inheritance. Said media commentators for outlets owned by Canadian oil millionaires who thought the outlets were too woke and that's why he bought them. "This is clearly bad. How dare the mega wealthy be forced to pay their fair share? Don't you know you might one day be that rich as well, if you win lotto?" The unlawfully appointed, according to the High Court, Human Rights Commissioner Stephen Rainbow, seen here making comments claiming Muslim immigration posed a threat to Jewish communities and denigrating trans people, is under investigation for undisclosed reasons tied into complaints about his conduct this week. The concerns are raised directly with the Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith, who has appointed a King's Counsel to undertake the investigation. Said Goldsmith, seen here reading those same numbers Nicola did before and realising that if he wants to stay in Parliament, he should actually campaign against Seymour, and maybe he can talk Labour and Green Epsom voters to bite the bullet and vote for him as well to keep Seymour out, since ACT is so close to the threshold. In accordance with the principles of fair process and natural justice for the parties involved, it would be inappropriate for me to comment any further. But I would like to remind everyone that Rainbow was pushed forward for the role by David Seymour and hired despite assessments internally finding he wasn't really the best person for the role. But other than that, I can't say anything. Also currently under investigation is Police Commissioner Richard Chambers, seen here being told there are now more gang members than police in the country by the Independent Police Conduct Authority. 2 complaints were received by the Police Minister, who this time knows he received them, unlike the complaints about Mick skimming previously, and referred them to both to the IPCA and Police National Integrity Unit. No one involved would comment, citing the ongoing investigation and how windy it was in Wellington, so no one could record them on a microphone anyway without there being a lot of that whoosh background noise. The National Cybersecurity Centre has warned organisations to prepare for a significant increase in the vulnerabilities from AI, with the speed, scale and sophistication of cyber threats impacting the country at a level never before experienced by security services. Said the organisation, "We must prepare now knowing that there will inevitably be breaches, but being prepared will mean that the impact of those can be minimised. And as long as no one does anything really stupid like use AI to make misleading and shoddy election advertising, potentially granting backdoor access to systems, we should be fine." By the way, did you see National's new Pixar-like commercials? So cute. And finally, state broadcaster Radio New Zealand has confirmed that once CEO Paul Thompson leaves later this year, his role would be split into 2, with a new editor-in-chief role to be established at 2, according to Radio New Zealand spokespeople better serve RNZ's mission to enhance the independence of journalism. Said a spokesperson for RNZ, "We can't promise this means uncritically platforming ACT press releases, partisan lobby groups, and continuing their laundering of their clearly partisan content to legitimise it anymore, but it won't be the CEO's job to decide that anymore." Right, that's it for this week's The News. Remember to check those enrolment details. If you're not enrolled by October 25 this year, you're not allowed to vote because the government doesn't think you can do it. Take care of yourself, ka kite anō, mā te wā. I'll catch you guys all later. Hey, thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. While you're here, why not hit that like button or share the video or even subscribe to the channel. You could even become a paid YouTube member so you can see things released in advance, you get access to some exclusive content, and like all these awesome people, you get to have your name at the end of the credits as well.